is going on, vinyl community? Welcome to another video with the Record Spinner. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a vinyl haul showcasing all of the records that I acquired within the month of December this year in 2024. And what a way to wrap up this year with a video full of fantastic vinyl finds from the tail end of the year. We have a 50th anniversary Kiss pressing, the first album by a new up-and-coming local band called Polaroid Fade, a Zoetrope picture disc from Iron Maiden, out-of-print Holy Moly wall pieces from Aerosmith and David Bowie, along with a bunch of Christmas gifts and so much more. It's about to go deep, so without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy the latest finds. So like I mentioned in my November vinyl haul video, I said that I was waiting on my Kiss Hotter Than Hell 50th anniversary package, and here we are in December. It finally showed up. So here is the 50th anniversary colored vinyl pressing of Kiss's Hotter Than Hell, second album by the band. Of course, features a lot of Kiss classics such as Got to Choose, Parasite, the title track, Let Me Go Rock and Roll, Going Blind. This album is killer from start to finish. People knock it for the production. I think it adds to the charm. Yeah, it's gritty, it's not as polished, but it still smokes. And let's just marvel at the packaging of this particular pressing. Take a look at that. This was an entire rebuild of the original album cover that was done by Tom Germain, who does a lot of the artwork for, Kiss releases ever since, I think, the box set from 2001. He completely rebuilt this from scratch, and you can just see the finer detail in the black and white band photo. It's so there. And just so you can kind of compare and contrast, I pulled out my German pressing, which is more in line with the original, and you can see that a lot of that detail is lost, and some of the color gradients in the background are a bit more sort of grainier, and you can see it runs much more smoother, and you can make out some of those finer details. It's absolutely killer. This is also a nice glossy jacket, and there's some cool embossments as well that you can see there if I shine it in the light, and same with these sort of the makeup design in the middle of the back cover. Looks absolutely awesome. And lately, Kiss Online has been including bonus posters with the albums. So this did not come with the original pressing, but it is a poster of a cool black and white shot from this time frame, which looks absolutely awesome. I believe the picture disc version is double-sided. You have like a live shot on the back side. And like I always say, I don't jump on those picture discs just because they're stupid expensive, but also my OCD is so bad that like I would have to try to get the other ones that have come out, and I've missed quite a lot. And also, they sell out in like 10 minutes. It's absolutely ridiculous. Also, can we also mention the hype sticker as well? The custom hype sticker there, which kind of riffs on like the fonts and the sort of stripe pattern around the border. That just looks absolutely awesome. And of course, it is pressed on gold nugget vinyl with a sort of metallic gold rendering of the Casablanca Bogart label, very much similar to what they did for the first album earlier in the year. So they kind of followed suit with this pressing, and I can only maybe imagine that perhaps they'll do the same going forward for Dress to Kill and Alive for this year when they not this year, in 2025 when they reach their 50th anniversary. So glad I got this, but of course, as always, you have to buy the bundle to get the record. You have to get a shirt or something. So with that record, I got the Hotter Than Hell long sleeve, and this is the second one that I got. Why do I say second? Because it says Strange Ways as part of the track list, because the very first run that they did, because they shipped the shirt out separate, then they did the LP, it just said Strange on the back instead of Strange Ways. So I gave that to my girlfriend, and I kept the corrected one. So it's one of those things you kind of have to bite the bullet on. But honestly, the shirts are really cool. I've worn this a couple times, and it's a really awesome shirt. So very happy to get that. Now to shift the focus onto a newer local band from my neck of the woods here in New Jersey. They just put out their first record that I'm going to show you guys here, and it is Polaroid Fade, Chaos into Poetry. If you were a fan of like 80s/90s dream pop and new wave, you will love this band and album. Very much in the line of like The Cure, the Smiths, the Sundays, things like that. Some of my favorite cuts on this record so far are Any Other Way and Cotton Candy Skies. I still got to give this a full spin because I'm going to be doing some content with this band on the channel, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But they're absolutely fantastic people. My good friend Tyler Steinbron plays guitar for them. I've known him since middle school. And then Nicoletta Giuliani, the vocalist and also the sort of leader of the band. Her father, Jeff, sings in the Genesis show, which is the Genesis tribute band that I work for. But they're absolutely talented, and because, little fun fact, because they're called Polaroid Fade, one of the hobbies that I gladly pursue outside of, vinyl collecting and YouTube and everything is I enjoy Polaroid photography. And anytime I see these guys live, I always bring up my Polaroid and take some shots. So, absolutely solid package all around. Nice blue center labels here, and this was put out by a local label called Shore Point Records. They're based out of Asbury Park, New Jersey, and they did both vinyl and cassette copies of this album, and there's also CD as well. So if you want to get your copies, shorepointrecords.com is where to get it. So I'm very happy to get this and spin it, and like I said, be on the lookout for some content with the record spinner and Polaroid Fade in the near future. Now, here is a 40th anniversary pressing that I low-key kind of held off on getting because I figured I would approach it later on, but as of recently, the drummer of this band announced his touring retirement. So when I saw this at my local Walmart, since I was doing some Christmas shopping, I kind of had to be persuaded to leave the store with it. So like, I asked my girlfriend Abby, I'm like, hey, should I get this? And I asked my buddies over at the Youngest Members of the BC, should I get this? And they all said yes. So it's in my collection. And it is Iron Maiden's Powerslave. This right here is my favorite Iron Maiden record. When you start an album with a track like Aces High, you don't have much else to prove. Like, you've already set out on your mission. Of course, there's also 2 Minutes to Midnight. The title track is great. Flash of the Blade. The epic Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. It's just an awesome, awesome record. And this 40th anniversary Zoetrope picture disc comes packaged in a gatefold for the first time ever. And this is all newly designed too. So you have various band photos, and then you have the sort of mummified, not mummified, but like the Egyptian Eddie right here. And then inside we have a little 4-panel insert with some new liner notes from Steve Harris talking about the album's anniversary. Here's the band shot. And now this band photo and the lyrics are all replicated from the original artwork, but it's kind of spread out across the inside of this panel. So you get that. And because it's a Walmart exclusive, you also get this this exclusive lenticular sort of print, which is very cool. And then I'll show you guys the vinyl as well. Now, as of lately, Zoetrope picture discs have sort of been this sort of trendy little thing in the vinyl circles. I think this past, not Record Store Day Black Friday, but Record Store Day in general, there was a good amount of like Zoetrope picture discs. There was the George Harrison ones and the Dio ones, so it's like a new thing. But it's cool because like when it spins on your turntable, it's like a moving image. I don't know, you can't really catch it on there. And you have to like set your phone settings to a certain thing when it comes to videoing it so you can see it. But I still have to check it out for myself. So that is really cool. It's my first Zoetrope as well. So I don't know if I'll be picking up any more, but I'm glad to at least have one. And also when you take out the picture disc, you can see inside it has like the lightning motif, just like the print, which is awesome. And then because it's die cut, obviously you saw what it looks like with the vinyl inside, which looks just like that. So overall, a very beautiful looking pressing of, like I said, my favorite Iron Maiden record. So glad to have the 40th anniversary Zoetrope picture disc of Powerslave. And this next one is still sealed. I'm going to save this for a sunboxing very, very soon. But I literally got this box set here for $32. That's right, $32, and it's still sealed. And like I said, I'll save it for a sunboxing. And that is Metallica S&M2. So obviously the follow-up to the original S&M, which came out around late 90s, early 2000s. This came out in... When did this come out? This was fairly recently, around, what, 2021, I want to say? But this is the big, like, super-duper box. So this has... two half and half LPs and two splatter LPs. So it's a 4 LP album. Plus you get the album on 2 CDs as well as the Blu-ray of the concert film, along with a 28-page book with photos. You get S&M2 guitar picks, sheet music, and a poster, along with a download card. So I think that's very good value for 32 bucks. I really was kind of curious on checking this out when it first came out a couple years back, but you know, it's one of those things where it's right price, right time, and you get everything that you could want plus more out of this cool little box set. So glad that I got this. And typically I wouldn't get too much vinyl during this time of year just because Christmas is around the corner and my family and Abby want to get me gifts, so I try to hold back on getting, you know, newer stuff or just things I may have missed throughout the year. But I gotta say, Abby's been a bit of a good luck charm when it comes to finding good stuff on vinyl, because during our Christmas shopping adventures, we also took the time to check out a brand new store that opened up relatively close to us called Wall to Wall Sound and Video. I plan on doing a video there sometime in the very near future, but it's like a half record store, half video store, and it's quite literally like it's split in the middle. You have all the records on one side, and then you have DVDs, Blu-rays, VHS tapes, Laserdiscs on the other. So it fulfills both of us because she's a DVD Blu-ray collector and she's trying to beef that up. So we parted when we got to the doors. But I saw this on the wall and I was like, crap, I really should not be jumping the gun on holy moly wall pieces. But I was like, you know what? You don't see this thing often, so I'm going to jump for it. And what did I get, you might ask? Aerosmith, Music from Another Dimension. Maybe I'm going to go as far as to say that this is Aerosmith's last album. It's obviously the most latest one. This came out in 2012. I remember I got this on CD when it first came out. There was the track Legendary Child, which was a single, which I remember I enjoyed a lot back then. And then you have... ballads like What Could Have Been Love and Can't Stop Loving You, which are kind of like, you know, I Don't Want to Miss the Thing, you know, redux essentially. But I can, from what I can see here, produced by Jack Douglas, Steven Tyler, and Joe Perry. So if it has Jack Douglas's name, and of course he produced all those great 70s albums, I'm sure the rest of this has got to be decent. Because to be honest with you, I think I may have played this once, and that was it. So, and because, you know, it's never been repressed on vinyl, and I think the original 2012 pricing is all that exists for this, I had to jump on it. So when I saw it was like an impulse, oh crap, that's there. That looks cool. I'll check it out for myself. So there's that. Nice gatefold jacket. Cool kind of caricature of the band. Kind of reminds me of that cartoon image from, was it the insert for Rocks? That was really cool. Each LP has its own printed inner sleeve, which is pretty cool. And this 2 LP set is indeed pressed on translucent red vinyl, which looks absolutely awesome. So really cool to get this sort of hard to come by Aerosmith piece. And the last record that I'll show in this small segment is one that I picked up over at the Grassroots Music Shop in Ocean City. Like I said, doing some Christmas shopping, and I was like, let's pop in and check it out. And I really had no intentions on buying anything, but when I saw this in the bins, I was like, damn it. Like, they got me, they got me right where I needed to be. And I had to think about it a little bit, and I did some research on Discogs, and turns out this is out of print, and I got it for a very good price compared to what it's selling for currently. And it's an album that I already have in my collection, but I have to have this one, and I'll explain why. David Bowie's Space Oddity. Now, this is the picture disc version that came out in 2019 for the album's 50th anniversary. I initially skipped this entirely when it first got released. But what's notable about this, obviously, is the artwork, which utilizes the artwork from the 1972 RCA reissue, because RCA reissued this album and The Man Who Sold the World right when Ziggy Stardust was basically taking off. And I had picked up the Man Who Sold the World picture disc when I was out in California with the Stone Kings about a year ago. And I was always on the hunt for this just to complete it, because they did the RCA artwork for that picture disc for The Man Who Sold the World and this was the hardest to come by, and it's out of print and it sells for like $50 brand new. I paid less than that for this. So when I saw it, I was like, I kind of have to. It's one of those things where, like, I don't know how I missed this the previous times I'd been at that shop, or they just got it in, or someone brought it. God knows. But I'm so glad that I have this. And as you see, it kind of has some Ziggy era photos on the front and back. And as an added bonus, we have a cool insert here. I can imagine this was a printed inner sleeve back in the day. There is a cool poster as well, which utilizes that original cover image. And then as for the picture disc, it utilizes the image for the front and back cover. I'll take this out. So there's that. And I also got to take a look in the dead wax and credits, because I noticed there was a copyright date on the back cover for a remaster that was done in 2009. And that was given a vinyl pressing. And granted, they did remaster it in 2015, but some people say that that remaster is a little faulty and the 2009 one's favored more. This is just geeky minutia stuff that, you know, some fans kind of get enamored with. So if this is the 2009 remaster, just the fact that it's that and a picture disc alone makes for an interesting David Bowie Space Oddity variant. So Santa Claus must have been pressing up some really good stuff over at the pressing plants at the North Pole, because I have here a fat stack of records that I got for Christmas from my parents, my godmother, as well as my girlfriend Abby. But before I tackle the Christmas gifts, I need to show off one record that Abby gifted me for our anniversary. So our anniversary fell on December 12th. We celebrated 1 year together. It's been a year of absolute bliss. She is the best thing that's ever come into my life. And we decided to give each other our gifts on Christmas, since I had to wait a little bit to get my gift for her ready, and then hers came a little bit after our anniversary date. So we decided on Christmas we'll give them to each other. And she gifted me a record that is literally the most priceless and single best record in my entire record collection. Yes, it outdoes any Kiss box set that I get, any Kiss bootleg, any audiophile, Analog Productions, MoFi. It outdoes them all. I'm just going to say it right there. And what record are you wondering that could be? It's this right here. This is called When the World is Quiet, the Universe Speaks. And that is the name of a playlist that I had made for us of songs that we enjoy listening to together. It's also a phrase that she said on our very first date a little over a year ago. And it just always stuck with us, and we have this playlist that keeps building and building of songs that we enjoy listening to. And Abby took it upon herself to seek out a company that specializes in one-off records, lathe cuts, whatever you want to call them. And she chose the songs to be featured on this little compilation. So there are the tracks there, and I'll just run them off right off the bat. You got Perfect Day by Lou Reed, Real Love Baby by Father John Misty, The Only Exception by Paramore, Yellow by Coldplay, In My Life by the Beatles, Sunsets by Cigarettes After Sex, Her and I by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, I Am the Cosmos by Chris Bell of Big Star, and Forever by the Beach Boys. She chose the photo of us for the front cover, which was taken right at the beach in Cape May, and she did the text layout and everything. A nice picture of the sunset there. She outdid herself entirely. And I even love the center labels, which is a photo of us with a black and white filter holding hands, and she's given the Maloik, the rock on symbol. And I told her that, you know, next time that she comes over, we have to listen to this together. So, like I said, it is literally the single greatest piece of vinyl that is in my entire record collection. And thank you so much, Abby. I love you, and happy anniversary, first of many. Mwah. And then for Christmas, Abby gifted me one record, and this is a Target exclusive that I have been wanting, despite the fact that I have the box set, which this album is featured in. But when you're a collector, you need these things. And that is Meet the Beatles. First Capitol release of the Fab Four. It's basically a hunk of With the Beatles plus some single A sides and B sides, and I saw her standing there. Want to Hold Your Hand. It Won't Be Long, All My Loving, I Want to Be Your Man. This is the sound of Beatlemania at its infancy when they first came to the States in '64. Performed on Ed Sullivan, and the rest is history. And just for the sake of showcasing it, yeah, I did the unboxing of the set, but, you know, you gotta showcase these things. Comes with a printed inner sleeve of the notable Capitol titles of the time frame. This is most likely what was included with the very, very original pressings. Scans of master tape boxes, liner notes, mastering notes as well, all analog cut from the original Capitol masters. And like I said, the Target exclusive comes pressed on blue vinyl, which looks absolutely wonderful. And I believe this is the only standalone release from those Capitol albums that have gotten a colored vinyl pressing. I'm not quite sure if maybe it's different in other territories, or maybe there'll be more to come in the future, but it's a very fitting one to do a colored vinyl exclusive of such an important album to come out within the States when the Beatles first made their mark here in the US 60 years ago. Really great stuff. And now we get into the stuff that was given to me by my parents, and starting off with a guitarist that as when I've grown up in high school and into young adulthood, we have seen this guy so many times, to the point where I've met him so many times at meet and greets. I did an interview with him once before on the channel years back, and this is one of those cases where, like, you know, when he comes around with his band, it never disappoints, and it's always a great show. And I am talking about Steve Hackett of Genesis, and this is one of his recent live releases, might be the recent live release, and that is Foxtrot at 50 and Hackett Highlights live in Brighton. Every time Hackett goes on tour, he always puts out a live release documenting the tour, and this time around, the Genesis album Foxtrot celebrated its 50th anniversary, which of course has Suppers Ready, Watcher the Skies, Get 'Em Out by Friday. So he performed the album in its entirety, along with basically the first half of the show is his solo stuff. So you get things like Spectral Mornings, Every Day, Shadow of the Hierophant, and as well as some newer stuff, which is just as good. And then the second half is devoted to Foxtrot with an encore of Firth the Fifth and Los Endos. And this is a 4 LP package. Comes in this sort of thin sort of slipcase, and each LP has its own dedicated sleeve with different live photos, and the backs of them have cool individual shots of Hackett and his band, as well as some credits. And I can tell this will definitely be another fun listen. Honestly, when it comes to all of these Hackett live releases, to me, they're like souvenirs because I've seen him so many times over the years. So it's a nice way to kind of relive the show a little bit. So happy to have this. And then here's a reissue that just came out fairly recently. I have a couple of albums by this band being the first all-female band signed to a major label back in the early 70s on Reprise. And that is, of course, Fanny. And this is their debut album. Real Gone Music, a fantastic reissue label, had just put this out again. This got pressed up like several years ago, and copies are kind of becoming hard to come by, so they did a repress of it. I believe this is limited to 1,000 copies. Yes, it is 1,000, as per the hype sticker that I saved. And it is pressed on Orange Crush vinyl. I also kind of love this variant look of the Reprise label. It almost looks like a white label promo almost, just because it's plain white. But I'm really stoked to have this this particular record. And these guys, if you've never listened to Fanny, they absolutely smoke and rock. It goes to show that sometimes women rock much more harder than the guys. Moving on to some Sparks territory. Technically Sparks. It is the Half Nelson record. So the story goes is that when Russell and Ron Mael got the band together, they first went out under the name Half Nelson, and they got signed to Todd Rundgren's Bearsville Records. They put out their first album. It did absolutely nothing. So then someone thought of the idea to just rebrand the album with a different name, a different cover. Thus, we have the first Sparks album. So this right here is literally just the Sparks debut album. On here you get tracks like Wonder Girl, No More Mr. Nice Guys, and then you also get things like Slow Boat, Simple Ballet, Roger, Fala Fali. It's honestly, when it comes to early Sparks, I absolutely love it so much. So even though I do have the Sparks debut, when Friday Music had done the debut and Wolfer and Tweeter's Clothing, I always thought, I'm like, what if they did a variant with the Half Nelson artwork? Because the Half Nelson record is certainly one of the most valuable rock records in terms of collector circles. So when I saw that they were going to do this, I was like, cool. That's awesome. I bet you they probably used the same metal parts from the Sparks release, but hey, it's cool to have. And this is pressed on purple vinyl. Replicates the Bearsville label with that Friday Music logo up on top. So really, really good stuff. And then we move on to an album that just recently celebrated its 50th anniversary, and it's been expanded with a second LP of extra mixes. Of course, I am talking about the progressive rock greats of King Crimson, and this is the Red album. Literally one of their absolute best. The title track is just rip-roaring. Fallen Angel, One More Red Nightmare. You have the Improv Providence, as well as Starless, which is just this epic, brewing, majestic piece. And they did something kind of similar for Lark's Tongues and Aspic, where Steven Wilson went back and remixed the album again. So this is the second time that Wilson has remixed Red. The first time around was like, what, 2009, right around that time? And of course he did new Dolby Atmos and surround sound mixes. But then on the second LP, you have what is called the Elemental mixes. And these were done by David Singleton, who's like the King Crimson producer, you can say. And he kind of offers alternate views into these standout tracks. So, it'll be an interesting listen. I'm really excited to hear the remix and also hear how the Elemental mixes kind of compare. Nice gatefold here using different photos from the album cover photo sessions. Then here is the back. Really awesome stuff. And then here is a release that almost broke my heart to not buy out of impulse. But then again, that's why, like, this time of year with Christmas time, there's so much stuff coming out, and then between having to shop for other people and you can't shop so much for yourself, I was like, you know what? I will relegate this to being a Christmas gift. And that is the picture disc edition of Eric Carr's Unfinished Business. Of course, Eric Carr of Kiss replaced Peter Criss back in 1980. Unfortunately, passed away in 1991. And this Unfinished Business album got released for Record Store Day in that box with the light up eyes. But keeping in line with what they did for the Rockology release, which I would say is the that's sort of the end-all, be-all release that people should check out for Eric Carr solo stuff. Unfinished Business kind of brings together various demos. There's some spoken word bits. There's some songs that are more fleshed out by other musicians, some fitting tributes to Eric Carr on this. It's kind of for the diehards, but they did a picture disc edition, which is the same on both sides. So you get side 1 and side 2. And then you also get this little insert which opens up like a poster, and on the flip side you kind of have a sort of mock-up poster of what would have been similar to what came with the 1978 solo albums. So it's a really cool release to have, and it's a case of OCD of having all the possible variants when it comes to anything Kiss related. So very happy to get this. So that is what came from my parents. I'm going to move on to what my godmother had gifted me. And here is a brand new album that, once again, broke my heart to not dive into when it came out. And that's the funny thing when it comes to new albums that come out. Like, yeah, I can go on Apple Music or anywhere to listen to it, but I want the vinyl to listen to when it's fresh and new. And so I'm a little late to the party with this one, but this is a very bold record for this band to do. And that is, of course, Linkin Park From Zero. So Linkin Park has got back together with a female vocalist after Chester Bennington's death from several years back, which I honestly thought would have been the end. But they reformed, and they put out this album. The main single off of this was The Emptiness Machine, which I've really, really liked. I've heard it all over radio. And then there's also the track Two-Faced, which to my ears sounds like a rewrite of One Step Closer. So it kind of goes to show that while, you know, Linkin Park has dabbled in a lot of different musical territories, they're kind of honing in on that rap new metal sound that established on those first two records like Hybrid Theory and Meteora. Goes to show that they should not fuck with the formula. So that is that. Comes with a nice printed inner sleeve here with lyrics and all kinds of trippy band photos. And it is pressed on translucent blue vinyl, which is very nice. I think this is like the more so standard edition that you can kind of get everywhere. So it's a nice looking vinyl, but I'm very glad to have the newest release from Linkin Park. And now we get into some audiophile territory. So I can't keep up with all these Analog Productions and Rhino high fidelity titles, so Christmas time's a prime time to get those. Starting off with one album that I already have in my collection, but I'm going to be getting rid of it because this is a nice, suitable upgrade. And that is, of course, the self-titled debut of The Stooges, one of the greatest sort of proto-punk records of all time. On this you have 1969, I Want to Be Your Dog, No Fun, Not Right, Real Cool Time. Iggy and the boys just fucking ripping it up. Beautiful, glossy, stout and gatefold jacket. This is also numbered as well. This is 4,449 out of 5,000. So it's kind of the end of the run right there. And for the first time ever, it's packaged in a gatefold, which opens up like this, and you have photos of the guys in the studio, which is great. Then inside, as always, you have an insert which has scans of the master tape box as well as other documents. Opens up and you have a little Q&A with photographer Glenn Craig, who shot some photos of the band. There's also an insert of all the lyrics. And of course, keeping it in line with all the other releases, got those custom Rhino hi-fi labels. But also what I like about this is that while the sleeves are polyline, they have the logo going all the way across, which kind of reminds me how Quality Record Pressings sleeves their records in their rice paper sleeves, and they have the logo going all the way across. Maybe that's a little homage of sorts, or that's their way of doing it. I think it's a nice little touch. So really, really awesome. As I try to get this record back in the sleeve, I'll do the rest off camera. You don't want to see me spend too much time with that. And then next up, we have ZZ Top Trejas. Here, I'll showcase the Obi just for the sake of showing everything. There it is. So, of course, this was from that ZZ Top box set that sold out relatively quick, and then they did some breakout releases. This is a ZZ Top album that I have been wanting for a long time. And I was just waiting for them to reissue it again. And once this was part of the Rhino Hi-Fi box and they started doing the breakout releases, I was like, great, there's my opportunity. So got my hands on this. I think in this case, this is reformatted into a gatefold from the original printed inner sleeve. And of course, scans of tape boxes. We have, this is a Q&A with Billy Gibbons, I believe. Some live shots, some single sleeves and all kinds of good stuff. Really, really cool. Oddly enough, look, I'm not one to complain too much, but take a look at the side one center label. That label got wedged into the dead wax. So I think when I play this, I just have to be on my toes when the last track is wrapping up. That way my needle doesn't quite bite the bullet. And of course, you know, look, I love this series, but Rhino as a label is kind of a pain in the ass to get in touch with when it comes to faulty product. So I'm just gonna, you know, pick and choose my battles, and quite frankly, you really need to when it comes to some stuff like this. So got myself some Rhino hi-fis, and then gonna jump back into some Analog Productions territory with their Atlantic 75 series, putting out the best sounding pressings of prime titles from Atlantic Records catalog. Bad Company Straight Shooter. I've never owned this record, and I don't know why. I absolutely loved the pressing that they did of the first album, which Chad Kasem had sent to me to review for Tracking Angle. So I went ahead and finally got the follow-up. This one, of course, has Good Lovin' Gone Bad, Feel Like Making Love, Shooting Star. Also, I love how with the promos I've gotten, they're not numbered, but yet in this case we do have a number here. This is copy number 1763. We have the printed inner sleeve reformatted into a gatefold. And then just for the sake of showing, we have the labels. Of course, we have the Swan Song label right there, which is really solid. And then moving on, this is an album that I actually already have in my collection, but similar to the Stooges, this will be a nice upgrade. And that is the Velvet Underground Loaded. So after they were on Verve Records, they went ahead, got transferred over to Cotillion, which was a sort of subsidiary of Atlantic, and they put out this solid record. You have Who Loves the Sun, Sweet Jane, Rock and Roll, New Age, I Found a Reason, Oh Sweet Nothing. This album is absolutely brewing. Numbered as well, mastered all analog, 2 LP, 45 RPM. This never came in a gatefold, but they kind of include some band photos here just to kind of beef up the packaging. And then just for the purpose of showcasing, got that old school Cotillion label, which also bared the early Emerson, Lake and Palmer records. That's what I remember seeing this label on in terms of like records from my parents' collection. So very happy to get this nice upgrade. And the last piece that I'll show is a Rush associated release, one that I kind of just held off on because this came out earlier this year, coincidentally with the Geddy Lee solo album, My Favorite Headache, but I already had that from Record Store Day a couple years back. But making its first time appearance on vinyl is Alex Lifeson's Victor solo album. So this came out in 1996, just around the time Rush had released Test for Echo. And this time around, it is expanded. The main album takes up 3 sides of vinyl, and then you get a 4th side of some bonus cuts. So I've been wanting to check this one out. And gatefold jacket here features some liner notes written by Rush superfan Ray Wozniak, which I actually had the great pleasure of meeting when the Genesis show, the Genesis band that I work for, played at the Riviera Theater in North Tonawanda, New York. So we exchanged some words, and he told me that he wrote the liner notes for this release, and that was kind of more of an incentive to dig into this release much sooner. It's a 2 LP set, printed inner sleeves with photos and lyrics, and it is pressed on ultra clear vinyl. So in terms of Christmas vinyl, that's what the family took care of. But if you stay tuned for the next monthly vinyl haul video, you'll see what I'll get from various friends that I exchange gifts with. And I'm sure there'll be more records to showcase. So there you guys go. That wraps up my vinyl haul of all the records that I acquired within the month of December here in 2024. Happy New Year to you all. And if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. See you guys in the next video. And most importantly, keep the records spinning.